At the beginning of the story, we see a boy walking. He is visiting a website that sells second-hand items. He uploads an ad to the website to sell his old MacBook. A girl shows interest in buying the MacBook. They both decide through chat that the girl will visit the boy's house. After checking the MacBook, she will decide whether to buy it or not. The boy gives his phone number and house address to the girl. Later we see Soo Hae-un, the main protagonist of our story. She works at an architectural company. She scolds some workers on site because they install the wrong tiles on the floor, and she also gets scolded for this mistake by her manager, Kim. Soo Hae-un explains that she was on leave yesterday to move to her new apartment. In her absence, the mistake happens. The manager tells her to rectify the mistake with her own money. In the office, Soo Hae-un's only friend is Daljo. After work, they return by car. Soo Hae-un tells her friend Daljo that her washing machine is broken. Fixing it will cost a lot of money. Daljo suggests that it will be better to buy a second-hand washing machine instead of fixing the old broken one. Daljo herself has bought a lot of things from the website she is suggesting. Meanwhile, Soo Hae-un's manager calls and orders her to fix the mistake by tomorrow morning. Later, we see the boy introduced at the beginning of the movie. He is waiting for the girl who is supposed to come to his house to check the MacBook. Suddenly, he gets a text from the girl saying that she can't come due to some reason, but instead her brother will come to check the MacBook. Then we hear the doorbell. The girl's brother has come. He likes the MacBook. He gives the boy money, and in that moment stabs him. Then he takes the boy's mobile phone and sends a text to one of his friends, saying he is going to Busan City with a girl to hang out. The stabber does this so nobody gets worried about the boy's absence. In the next scene, we see Soo Hae-un. She is working at night on the site because she needs to fix the floor by tomorrow morning. Suddenly, she gets scared by Kim's presence. Kim brings food for her. While eating together, Kim asks her about her washing machine. She says that her washing machine is broken and cannot be fixed. Kim offers to fix it. Actually, he wants to impress her. Then Daljo arrives with more food. They all go together to Soo Hae-un's house. Kim tries to fix the washing machine but fails. All his plans to impress Soo Hae-un fail. On the other hand, we see the killer taking pictures of everything in the boy's house to sell them online. The killer is actually a psychopath who kills people and sells their belongings online. Later, we see Soo Hae-un searching for a second-hand washing machine on the website. She finds a second-hand washing machine at a lower price. The post is uploaded by the killer. The next day, she buys the washing machine in a hurry while going to her office. Later at her house, she finds out that the washing machine she bought is not working. She calls a mechanic to fix it. The mechanic tells her that someone fooled her and the washing machine cannot be fixed. She tries to contact the seller, but the seller's mobile number is off and the seller's ID is also deleted. Seeing no other way, she goes to the police station to report the fraud, but the police inform her that the investigation will start after 4 months. She tells the police that the scammer will not wait that long. The police tell her that this kind of scam has already happened to many people. Finally, she has to buy a new washing machine on eBay. It will take 2 days to get the new washing machine delivered. So she goes to a public laundry to wash her clothes. While returning, her bag gets torn, so all her clothes fall on the road. She feels embarrassed by this. She decides to find the scammer herself. At night, she sits with a computer and starts looking at various ads on second-hand selling websites. After seeing many ads, one post catches her attention. The description says that the seller is going abroad and wants to sell all his things. She remembers that the washing machine she bought had the same description. She realizes this is the same scammer. She comments on the post to warn everyone not to buy anything from this seller. The killer, who is also an expert hacker, sees Soo Hae-un's comment. He sends a message from a girl's ID warning her to stop commenting, or she will be in big trouble. Soo Hae-un replies, saying she will not let any of his things be sold. The killer gives her a clear warning, saying that if she continues, she will face the consequences. She replies that she has already filed a complaint against him at the police station, and it will only take 3 days for her to catch a scammer like him. The killer stops texting. Soo-haeon feels happy, assuming the scammer is afraid. She has no idea that the game has just begun. She doesn't sleep the whole night doing this and gets late for work the next day. Her manager scolds her, saying he already warned her about being late. She is surprised because every word her manager says was texted to her by the scammer at that time. While having lunch, she receives calls from many people asking about washing machines. She discovers that a post has been uploaded from her ID saying she is giving away washing machines for free. She then messages from her profile that the giveaway is over. While resting at home after a busy day, a bell rings. A delivery boy comes to deliver food, but she did not order anything. Suddenly, 2 more delivery boys arrive with food. She tells them she didn't order any food. The next day, before leaving for work, she hangs a message note on her door, asking not to deliver any food to her house. Soo-haeon later goes to the police station and informs Detective Na and Joe about everything. Detective Joe goes to the seller's house from whom Soo-haeon bought the broken washing machine. It is the house of the boy the killer murdered. The landlord says the boy is a student who hasn't been picking up calls, and we all know why. Detective Joe calls Detective Na to check the boy's call history. Returning home, Soo-haeon discovers that the message note she had hung on her door is no longer there. The next day, she sees a guy installing a camera in front of her house. She asks him why. The guy tells her he was ordered to do so. She says it doesn't look like a CCTV camera. The guy explains that nowadays people prefer cameras that don't look like cameras. She feels happy with the police work. That night, a guy comes to her house and opens the door with a password. Soo-haeon gets scared and calls the police immediately. Then the guy runs away. The scammer then texts her saying he sent the guy. Soo-haeon requests the scammer to stop all this. The scammer demands 5 lakh bucks to stop. She gets scared, wondering how to give her hard-earned money to someone like him. After 5 minutes, another guy comes to her house. Seeing him, Soo-haeon starts crying. Suddenly, Detective Joe arrives and starts beating the guy. The next day, Soo-haeon gets another text from the psycho killer, who knows all her details from childhood to the present. Soo-haeon goes to Detective Joe to ask if he went to the boy's house. Detective Joe confirms and says the boy is not picking up calls. Hearing this, Soo-haeon starts trembling. Seeing her condition, Detective Joe goes to the boy's house, taking her with him. Entering the house, they find no furniture. There is only a fridge. Opening the fridge, Detective Joe is horrified to find the boy's dead body. Just for a small online purchase, Soo-haeon's life has become a nightmare now. While returning home, the scammer calls her again. She begs him to stop everything. The scammer wants 10 lakh bucks now. He tells her to switch off her phone and wait at her house at 10 o'clock. Soo-haeon withdraws 10 lakh bucks using all her cards and regrets how her one comment made her life hell. Finding Soo-haeon's phone switched off, Detective Joe arrives at her house at night. The psycho killer attacks Detective Joe and makes him unconscious with chloroform. It's about 10 o'clock, so without killing the detective, the psycho heads straight to Soo-haeon's house. After a while, Soo-haeon comes home and lies on the sofa. She suddenly notices a device on the ceiling. She remembers a similar device was installed in front of her house. She checks her house and finds CCTV cameras installed everywhere. She understands that the scammer is keeping an eye on her through these cameras. Suddenly, a door opens behind her. Soo-haeon realizes that the killer is behind her back, so she tries to flee, but the killer captures her. Seeing his face, she understands he is the guy who installed the CCTV camera outside her house. The psycho killer makes Soo-haeon unconscious. Meanwhile, Detective Na reaches near Soo-haeon's house and finds Detective Joe unconscious and starts following the killer with a car. Meanwhile, Detective Joe regains consciousness. After a while, the killer, Detective Na, and Detective Joe all get into an accident with a truck. Detective Joe comes out of the car and runs fast and finds Soo-haeon in a wounded condition in the killer's car, but the killer manages to escape. Detective Na and Soo-hyun are taken to the hospital. Detective Na is in critical condition. Detective Jo tells Daljo to take care of Soo-hyun. After a few days, Soo-hyun recovers, but Detective Na dies. Afterward, Detective Jo and Soo-hyun make a profile using Daljo's picture and start selling and buying various things. Doing so, they find the killer's profile. Then they send him a message saying they want to buy some used things from him. She sends him an address to bring the item. When he arrives with the product, she makes an excuse that she needs to go to the washroom and starts calling Detective Jo. However, the psycho recognizes Soo-hyun. He makes her unconscious, but Detective Jo arrives at the scene. The killer and Detective Jo fight for a while, but the killer beats Detective Jo severely. Just as the killer is about to kill Soo-hyun, Detective Jo jumps from the building, taking the killer along with him. They both get hurt badly. The killer is about to stab Detective Jo, but Soo-hyun comes and grabs the killer's hand. Then Detective Jo kills the killer by strangling him. In this way, the death game ends. A few days pass. Soo-hyun is now living a normal life. Now she understands how dangerous the online world can be. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button and subscribe our channel.